I'm a sports scientist and coach. I work with athletes of varying levels to help them, I guess we can say, train smart and achieve their goals, such as running marathons, doing Ironman triathlons, or just getting to the end of the line of a sprint triathlon.
Well, for the last 10 or so years I've been a full-time rower, won 2 Olympic gold medals, 6 World Championships, and currently sort of in the process of deciding whether I'm going to carry on for the Beijing Olympics or not. And after the Olympics in Athens, I've been doing some triathlons and training for some marathons, and through a friend heard about Trainsmart, and then I met Mark, who founded the company, and was talking to him about the idea. And it's just a fantastic venture that people can be remote trained for whatever they want to do and get, one-to-one coaching advice that would normally cost a fortune.
In general terms, Train Smart is a concept of defining training zones and actually giving people an idea of where they should train. I met Mark Clark from Trainsmart approximately 3 years ago. It was at a show. He was doing assessments on a cycle trainer, looking at the metabolism, how to pinpoint the correct area for training, and ideas got bouncing around between us. And so we started to evolve this idea of testing and improving people by the fact that they get their target zones, their goals, their progress planned out for them. And 3 years and a lot of brainstorming and thinking outside the conventional box, but still with evidence-based training methods. We've got to a point now, I think we've got a very strong model and a strong product that can allow people to take out the guesswork and the old school rubbish and get to the nitty-gritty of what they can do to get safe, effective training done for them.
Trainsmart does help with training because it makes sure you train in the band. The thing that I found, especially when I was training for a marathon, was that I'd almost be doing all my training but at the same level, and I wasn't getting the right level of intensity, or sometimes I was just going too hard and then there wasn't enough base level stuff. Even though I knew quite a lot about the training we'd have to do for running for the Olympics, a lot of it was sort of steady state. Then we'd have lactate tolerance threshold and transport sessions. I found it quite hard to apply to another sport, and that's what Trainsmart did do really well. I'd feed in my pulses and it would then work out what percentage of time I spent in the correct zones, and it turned out not very much in the right zone.
The heart rate monitor can be downloaded, and it can allow the athlete to put their information to the system, and the system and the coach can work out the appropriate level of training that is due after that session, whether that session was correct, and what the future sessions will actually entail. So it's using technology, and we've had the technology for heart rate training for 23 years or so. So this is now taking that, giving it to the average weekend warrior athlete and saying, if you use this technology, this system will work with you to produce the long-term program, but also the short-term sessions that you need to do to progress towards your goal.
It just prepares you properly. You make sure you have got the groundwork in place, and then when you go out to the competition, I found you could just sort of concentrate on your performance rather than thinking, I should maybe have wound down a bit earlier, or I should have done some more speed work, or I should have got those long runs in. I found it was much more helpful having a sort of longer term strategy. And the best thing also, it goes to the amount of time you've got that week. If you've got less time, you do change the intensity to make sure you still get the most out of the time you've got available.
We're constantly learning new things about how the body works, how the mind works, and how to train that in certain circumstances to help the athlete to get a few more percent. And that makes the job very rewarding, because there's always something new, there's always new research to digest and to figure into the big picture. So it's a constantly evolving and constantly rewarding job.
Heart rate monitors are, I think, probably the most important training aid, especially when I was training for the Olympics. It was vitally important because it does let you know how your body's going, how it's working, and with Trainsmart, it's just an ideal feedback through the computer to the personal training system, and without it, it's very hard to get the right training in the right zones. And if you're feeling, sometimes you get a bit, I'm feeling terrible, can't be bothered to do it today. And you actually go out and your pulse rate's round about the same as what it should be for the right speed if you're cycling, or the right sort of cadence if you're running. And it's almost it's a sort of actual guide to how you're feeling and performing, rather than your mental guide, which is sort of influenced by far more stimuli than just your heart rate. So I think it is a real grounding thing.
I would say there's loads of people that have surprised themselves about the way in which they build a consistent base of fitness. They don't have to be out there hurting themselves day after day. They find that they actually can progress by using their brain before they start to actually strain. Sounds a corny expression, but once that penny drops and they realise that their potential is mostly there through patience and also through the fact that they just need to do the correct things in the correct time, you get a lot of, I think, positive feedback and great results from people that never used to achieve what they were capable of. And it always seemed to be that they were stagnant, often going backwards because of injury or because of demotivation. And I don't think there's any one. I would say there's lots of people that have all found that by training smart, they can actually get more out of themselves and enjoy it, and not think that it's a second job. It's sweating and hurting himself every day. If that were the case, there would be very few athletes, but there are lots of athletes. And I firmly believe that everyone's an athlete. And if you see the progression over 2-3 years, some people can astonish you what they're capable of. Improve your performance, use our brains.